All right, get ready with me as we talk about some of the hidden costs of buying a home, especially in Missoula, Montana, but all this information can be taken and applied to anywhere in the US. So let's get after it right now. All right, I've got my trusty makeup bag now. I do need to give you all I am no makeup artist. I barely know what the hell I'm doing. Half of my shit's broken, so we're just gonna roll with it, okay? Don't need those. Oh, God. All right, so I did my hair today, so I'm proud of that. So let's get into it. Enough of me. This thingy broke, so we're just gonna, roll with it, okay? Just a little. All right. Anyways, I don't even know what this is for. Collagen. Yeah, I need that for my wrinkles. Okay, the first cost that you need to keep in mind when you're buying, especially in Missoula, is earnest money. So earnest money is usually 1% of the purchase price. And this is money that you will pay as soon as you go under contract, and you will pay it to normally the title company. And the title company is going to hold on to this money and then give it back to you at closing. Now, what is this money for? Now, this money, earnest money, is foundation. Need that. So this money is used as good faith. This shows that you have skin in the game, that you are prepared, you are serious, and more often than not, this money is given back to you at closing. Now, when are some times that you can lose your earnest money? God, put under the bags, You can lose your earnest money if you don't perform. So what does that mean? That means that if, let's say, the home inspection contingency has expired, and let's say that all of your contingencies have expired, like financing, home insurance contingency, title contingency, like let's say everything is done, and you as the buyer decide, like all these contingencies have passed, but I don't want to buy the home. You want out of the contract? Well, you're going to have to forfeit your earnest money. Or actually this just happened to a colleague's buyer, where it was like the day before closing, and the lender screwed up somewhere along the way and realized that the buyer has not paid taxes in the past 2 years. So they no longer qualified, and their financing contingency had already expired. So they forfeited their $4,000 earnest money because somebody screwed up. And it's on the buyer to provide all the documentation so that they qualify, but it was also on the lender who didn't pick this up sooner. So more often than not, you won't lose your earnest money, but there are opportunities to lose it. You just have to make sure that you and your agent work very closely together to make sure that you don't lose it, because it's not a lot of money compared to the amount of money that you're going to pay for a home, but it's your hard-earned money. You wanna hold on to it as best you can. All right, let's put some bags. I'll cover these bags, Okay. Number 2 on some costs that you should keep in mind when you're buying a home in Missoula or anywhere in the US is homeowners insurance. Like, it's required here in Montana, and it can get expensive. And if you live in like a floodplain, for example, so that just means that you live close to a river or a stream or a body of water, that the area in your home or like on your land could flood. And you should know this before you go into purchasing the home. But your homeowner's insurance will be higher if that's the case. So things like that. Or if there was a forest fire in that area, your homeowner's insurance could be higher. So it is really important to shop around for homeowner's insurance and just don't go with the first quote. Reach out to your realtor if you need any recommendations, because they should have a Rolodex of vendors. Okay, next. Property taxes. And that's not one that people really consider. And keeping in mind that property taxes do increase over time, especially if you have done improvements where you need to pull permits, your property taxes are going to go up. For like me in particular, we built a brand new house on our existing property. Our property taxes shot through the roof. Like, it was a real slap in the face, and not fun to almost over double our property taxes. So keeping that in mind. Another fee that you should probably consider, and lenders will consider this when deciding how much you qualify for, is an HOA fee. So at least here in Missoula, I'm going to use this as a mirror, so hopefully I don't poke myself in the eye, because I've definitely done that before. As here in Missoula, like, our HOA fees are really not that bad. I've seen them as low as $20. It's actually kind of nice per month. And then they can be high. I mean, they can be into the thousands. It depends on what the condo association or the homeowners association, like, what do they offer? And it's important to consider. So do they do snow removal? Do they do tree, where they like cut it and stuff? Do they do lawn maintenance? Do they take care of like the parking area? Like, what do they cover? Do, like, for a condo or a townhome, is like the roof maintenance something that they take care of? Maybe yes, maybe no. Maybe that will something you would consider if you were to pay a higher HOA fee. Maybe they need a new roof within the next 5 to 10 years. So they're going to hike up the HOA fees to pay for them. It's important to not only review the rules of the HOA, but make sure you agree with them, but also look at their reserve. How much money does the HOA have? Because if they have a lot of money, they're probably going to spend it soon, and knowing where they're going to spend it so that you see how it benefits you. So you see where your money's going. Another thing that you will need to consider when purchasing a home, especially in Missoula or the surrounding area, is does anybody else do that when they put mascara on? They just naturally like open their mouths like that. Like, why is that a thing? Weird. Okay, let's put a little bit more there. A little bit more there. Okay, I think we're good. I am not a makeup expert. I barely know what the hell I'm doing. Okay. Inspection costs. Inspections can get expensive. I just had my last buyers paid almost $1,200 for inspections. That included a home inspection on the house, a shop, and a detached garage. It also included a radon test, which is very, very important, especially here in Western Montana, where people are moving the earth around. It is very popular to have radon here. Radon, if you don't know, is a natural occurring gas, and it can have similar properties to, like, I like to equate it to like carbon monoxide. You can't see it, you can't smell it, but it'll kill you. Does radon kill people? I don't know, but it's really not good for your health. So radon is a really big deal around here. So highly, highly suggest getting a radon test. I should probably put something on my lips. Do I have anything for that? I do. Okay, got it. Okay. And radon test, they did one other test. Oh, they did get an appraisal. An appraiser came out to remeasure the square footage because there was a discrepancy in the square footage. Come to find out, it was about 100 square feet under, or what the appraiser found was that it was under. So it was false advertising, basically. So done with my makeup. I've got my notes here. So inspections can get really expensive, especially if you start to dig into water tests for well or septic tests, scopes. So they take like a little tube thing with a camera on the end, and they stick it down into the septic lines to make sure that those are clear or lack thereof. And then you can do like a full septic test. The last one I did was about $400 to determine how big the septic was it in good condition, and just to like give you all the information about the current septic tank. And that was a fun one because that one was up in Arlee, where it was on tribal land, and love the tribe. However, they're not very good at keeping records, so there was no record of the septic, and that made my clients nervous. So yeah, they paid $400 to get like a full report on the septic, and everything turned out just fine, but it's better to know that information. And then especially if you have a septic, you'll need to know when was the last time that septic was pumped, so that can be an additional cost to get the septic pumped. Now, that's something that you can work with your realtor to get that covered by the seller, because that's their crap. That's also in the septic, so the least they can do is go halvesies on you, but if you have a good realtor, the seller should be paying that, not you. And septics should be pumped 3 to 5 years, but of course check with the type of septic that you have, like how big it is, how small it is, all depends, but 3 to 5 years is recommended. Okay, 2 more costs that you should keep in mind when you're buying here in Missoula or the surrounding areas, or I mean, this can be applicable to anywhere in the US, but our closing costs. And closing costs will depend on so many things. One, it will depend on your lender. If you're paying cash, you're going to have fewer closing costs. And closing costs is like an umbrella for like an origination fee for a lender. It can, like if you're buying down your interest rate points to make your interest rate a little bit lower, you'll pay money to have that interest rate lowered at first. It is a good idea. I mean, that's a loaded question, but like overall, it tends to be a good idea because you are overall paying less interest on the life of the loan. But if you're thinking about maybe paying off the loan in 1 to 2 years as opposed to 30 years, paying to decrease your interest rates, so it's paying for points to lower it, might not be a good idea if you're thinking about maybe selling this house and taking all of that money and putting it into the new house, but you just need that loan for maybe 1 or 2 years. Might not be worth it. So of course, depending on your situation, I guess. But closing costs, and that also includes water rights, title fees. I mean, for sellers, closing costs can include realtor fees. And more often than not, sellers are paying for the listing agent and the buyer's agent. So that can add up quick. But if a seller is not paying for a buyer's agent, then the buyers are paying for their own buyer's agent's compensation, and that is included in the closing costs. So reviewing your closing costs before you get to the closing table is epic important to make sure that you know and understand every single fee that you're paying. And if you don't know what it is, ask. Start with your realtor, and if they're not able to answer your question, they'll probably direct you to the lender or the title company or whoever it may be. But ask. It is so important to understand those fees. And the final like big cost to moving are moving costs. Now, it depends on where you're going, right? So it can be a couple $1,000 or it can be like a couple lot of $1,000. To move across the country from Washington, D.C. to Missoula, Montana, it cost us $10,000. And that was not not a fun bill to pay. But we also went from a 2,400 square foot house where that's a lot of stuff that we had to bring over. So it's costly. But you know what? It saves my back. I'm going to be too old to be moving boxes. So it's one of those like necessary evils. If you're moving for a job, you might consider asking the new job if they will pay for moving costs. So just things to keep in mind. Now, if you're moving down the street, then that's not really that big of a deal, where maybe you could get your friends to do it, or you can pay like a smaller moving company to do it, a local one, as opposed to like one that covers all of the United States. So those are just some things to keep in mind. Costs to moving, buying, especially in Missoula and the Bitterroot. And of course, if you need any help navigating all of this, please reach out. All my contact information is down below. Call, text, email. I'm helping lovely folks just like yourself move here to the area, or, you know, I'm helping them move out. And these costs can generally, you can expect them in your new location if you're moving out of Missoula or the Bitterroot Valley. They'll slightly change, but you can expect these no matter where you're going. So if you need some help with that, or if you need a realtor in another city or state, I won't hold it against you, but I'm happy to help wherever I can. So if I haven't said it already, if you could please subscribe, comment, like, do all the things, you know, helps keep me motivated to do more videos for you all. And thanks for staying put with my lovely makeup tutorial. Please, I'm so bad at makeup. I'll put some lotion on my hands to finish off the video. But thanks so much for sticking around, and until next time.